Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. There comes a time in every person's life when the crowd around you gets louder than the voice inside you. And it's in that moment, in that crucial, defining moment, you've got to decide, will you surrender to the noise or will you listen to the whisper of purpose in your soul? They told me quit. They looked me in the eye and said, you're not cut out for this. They said, people like you don't make it. They smiled politely as they wrote me off. They laughed behind my back and said, watch how long he lasts. Oh, yes. They told me quit, but I didn't. I stayed patient. I stayed persistent. I stayed positive, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Let me take you back. There was a time in my life when nothing seemed to work. I was trying to build a dream with duct tape and borrowed time. Every step forward felt like 2 steps back. I was tired, broke, and uncertain. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed one night, lights off, just me and my thoughts. And they were loud. The voices of doubt, fear, and failure screamed in my ears. And then, as if on cue, someone called me the next morning and said, maybe it's time to give up. Have you ever been there? Have you ever heard that voice? That voice that says, why bother? That whisper that grows into a roar saying, you're wasting your time. But I'm here today to tell you this. Just because they said it doesn't make it true. See, what they didn't know was I had a fire in my belly. I had a dream in my chest and a vision in my mind that I refused to let go of. I wasn't just chasing success. I was chasing purpose. And when you're chasing purpose, quitting is not an option. It's a betrayal. I learned something in the darkness. I learned that patience is power, that every delay is not a denial, that sometimes the seed needs to stay buried so it can grow deep roots before it breaks through the surface. I stayed patient, not because I like waiting, but because I understood great things take time. I stayed persistent, not because the path was smooth, but because I believed that every no was getting me closer to a yes. Every failure was pushing me toward my breakthrough. Every door that closed was redirecting me to the one that was meant for me. And I stayed positive, not because I didn't feel pain, but because I refused to let pain define my attitude. I smiled through the struggle. I danced through the disappointment. I kept showing up with a good attitude, even when life gave me every reason not to. Let me tell you something. If you're going to do something great, if you're going to build a legacy, you better get used to being misunderstood. Get used to being doubted. Get used to hearing you can't. Because every champion was once a contender that refused to quit. They told Oprah she wasn't fit for TV. They told Edison he was too stupid to learn. They told the Wright brothers man wasn't meant to fly. And guess what? They were wrong, and they'll be wrong about you too. If you stay patient, persistent, and positive, people will always have opinions, but you have the vision. They can't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. They weren't given the dream you were given. So don't you dare hand your future to the crowd that didn't believe in you when you were just beginning. You've got to make a decision right now that no matter how many times life knocks you down, you will rise, that you will fail forward, that you will cry if you have to, crawl if you must, but you will never, ever stop, because your dream is not a joke. Your calling is not a coincidence. Your struggle is not punishment. It's preparation. When they say you should give up, let your actions say, I am just getting started. When they say you're wasting your time, let your persistence scream, I will make it count. When they say be realistic, let your vision shout, I'm creating a new reality. You are stronger than the storm. You are wiser than your critics. You are tougher than your trials. So keep going. Keep growing. Keep believing. Because one day, the same people who told you to quit will say, I always knew. And you'll smile, not out of pride, but out of gratitude. Because the journey shaped you. The struggle refined you. The doubt fueled you. They told me quit, but I stayed patient, persistent, and positive. And that changed everything. Most people hear the word patience and immediately associate it with passivity, with doing nothing, with waiting around hoping something will change. But real patience, the kind that builds legends and forges destinies, is anything but passive. It's active. It's fierce. It's disciplined. It's the inner strength to keep walking forward when the finish line is nowhere in sight. Patience is not about sitting down and hoping. It's about standing firm and preparing. When you're patient, you're not just waiting, you're building. You're learning, you're strengthening your core, your mindset, your resolve, you're sharpening your tools for the opportunity you know is coming. You're investing in the belief that timing matters, that every season has its purpose, and that your moment will come if you keep showing up with consistency and courage. The world may call it waiting, but warriors know it's training. There are people who rushed into opportunities before they were ready. They jumped at the first sign of success, thinking it was their breakthrough, but they weren't equipped for the weight that came with it. They didn't have the mindset, the humility, or the wisdom to carry the blessing they were handed, and it crushed them. Patience would have saved them. Preparation would have sustained them. See, you don't plant a seed and dig it up every morning to see if it's growing. You water it. You trust the process. You give it time to root. And that's what patience really is. Trusting the process, even when you can't see the progress. Knowing deep down that just because it's not happening on your timeline doesn't mean it's not happening at all. The seed is doing what seeds do, growing in silence. The greatest success stories weren't built in a day, a week, or even a year. They were built brick by brick, lesson by lesson, mistake by mistake. The patient ones didn't just endure the delay, they used it. They read more. They practiced harder. They became better. They were becoming the version of themselves that could handle what they were praying for. That's what patience does. It stretches you so your character can carry your calling. And here's the truth. There are things in your life right now that you think you're ready for, but you're not. Not yet. There are doors you want to open, but if they did, they might overwhelm you instead of elevate you. Patience protects you from premature exposure. It gives you the space to become ready, not just eager. The delay isn't a punishment, it's a gift. When others tell you to hurry, to chase every trend, to skip the process and grab the spotlight, you must remember, greatness is never rushed. Patience separates those who flame out from those who rise up. It builds endurance, it teaches control, and most of all, it forges trust. Not just in the outcome, but in your ability to walk the path, even when the path feels long, even when it's quiet, even when it's hard. The patient ones become the prepared ones, and the prepared ones never fear the moment they rise to meet it. Rejection stings. It's sharp, immediate, and personal. When you pour your heart into something, a dream, a plan, a proposal, and hear no, it doesn't just bruise your ego. It shakes your belief. It makes you question your worth, your talent, your purpose. But persistence is what transforms that sting into fuel. It doesn't let rejection define the journey. It lets it refine the direction. Every successful person you admire has been told no more times than they can count. Not just by people who didn't believe in them, but by circumstances, by timing, by failure itself. But what made the difference wasn't that they were smarter or luckier. It's that they refused to let rejection be the final answer. They treated every no as a signpost, not a stop sign. That's the power of persistence. It says, this might not be the way, but there is a way. Persistence isn't blind stubbornness. It's clarity wrapped in determination. It's having a vision so strong that a closed door doesn't stop you, it redirects you. You look for another door. And if there isn't one, you build one. If you can't build it, you find a window. If the window's locked, you wait until you learn how to pick the lock. Rejection doesn't mean you're not meant to succeed. It means the path just got more interesting. Think about it. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life happen right after the breakdown, right after the rejection letter, right after the lost deal, right after the moment you thought that was it. That's the moment when most people give up. But the persistent ones don't. They feel the pain, yes, but they don't stay there. They rise. They adjust. They ask better questions. They sharpen their focus. Because persistence isn't about pushing harder blindly. It's about pushing smarter consistently. The truth is, rejection is information. It's feedback. It teaches you something about the timing, the approach, or the preparation. But you only learn from it if you stay in the game. Persistence gives you access to that knowledge. Most people take one no as a final verdict. The persistent take it as a reroute. You won't always win on the first try, sometimes not even on the 10th, but each attempt is progress. Each attempt is one step closer to alignment with the right opportunity, the right people, the right moment. Persistence gives you volume. It gives you reach. The more you try, the more chances you give life to say yes. The truth is, rejection is information. It's feedback. It teaches you something about the timing, the approach, or the preparation. But you only learn from it if you stay in the game. Persistence gives you access to that knowledge. Most people take one no as a final verdict. The persistent take it as a reroute. You won't always win on the first try. Sometimes not even on the 10th. But each attempt is progress. Each attempt is one step closer to alignment with the right opportunity, the right people, the right moment. Persistence gives you volume. It gives you reach. The more you try, the more chances you give life to say yes. And maybe the no you heard wasn't really a rejection at all. Maybe it was protection. Maybe it was life's way of saying you're aiming too low, or this isn't your place. Your place is still ahead. But you'll never know unless you keep going, unless you show up again and again with the same hunger, the same drive, the same fire. Even if you've been burned before, persistence, it rewires your relationship with failure. It teaches you that falling short doesn't mean falling apart, that a closed chapter doesn't mean the story is over, that detours are often the most important part of the journey. Rejection is a redirection, a way of nudging you toward growth, evolution, and discovery. It clears the path of what's not meant for you, so what is meant for you can find its way. But that only happens if you stay in motion, if you keep knocking, keep showing up, keep believing. Because every no that didn't stop you is pushing you closer to the yes that will change everything. Most people wait for life to get better before they decide to think better. They wait for the storm to pass before they smile. They wait for the breakthrough before they breathe deeply. But the truth is, positivity is not something that happens to you. It's something you choose. It's not the result of comfort. It's the result of conviction. It's the mindset that says, no matter what's going on around me, I still get to decide what's going on inside me. Positivity isn't denial. It's not pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's not fake smiles or forced optimism. It's a deep-rooted decision to focus on what's possible instead of what's broken. It's the courage to find light, even if it's only a flicker in the middle of darkness. When the pressure mounts, when things fall apart, when the path disappears, positivity whispers, you still have power. You still have purpose. You still have a choice. Every day brings its own set of challenges, frustrations, and surprises. You can't always control what shows up, but you can always control how you show up. You can meet difficulty with defeat, or you can meet it with determination. That's what choosing positivity looks like. It's choosing to rise above bitterness, choosing to find growth in the grind, choosing to stay open even after life tried to shut you down. Some people let their circumstances dictate their energy. If the situation is good, they're good. If it's bad, they sink with it. But the strongest people, the ones who stay steady in the storm, they've learned to create their energy, not borrow it from the environment. They've trained their minds to be sources of light, not reflectors of chaos. That's not luck. That's a choice made daily, sometimes moment by moment. Positivity is a skill, and like any skill, it strengthens with use. The more you practice it, especially when it's hard, the more natural it becomes. When you choose to speak hope instead of fear, to act with grace instead of frustration, to move with belief instead of doubt, you are wiring your brain for resilience. You're becoming the kind of person who bends but doesn't break. The kind of person who others look at and say, how do they stay so grounded? It's because they decided to live from the inside out, not the outside in. Decided to look for meaning even in the mess. Decided to protect their mindset like it was gold, because it is. Your mindset is the foundation of everything. It determines how you see, how you react, how you lead, how you love. When you choose positivity, you're not ignoring reality. You're shaping it. Negativity will always be available. There's no shortage of things to complain about, fear, or judge. But positivity takes discipline. It takes vision. It means looking beyond the temporary and focusing on the truth that you are still here, still growing, still capable. That alone is reason enough to be thankful. That alone is reason enough to be thankful. That alone is power. You don't wait for life to hand you joy. You fight for it. You protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. And when you carry that energy into the world, things change. Not just for you, but for the people watching you, listening to you, depending on you to shine. Positivity becomes your responsibility, your superpower, your statement to the world that no matter how hard it gets, you will not be broken from within. When you carry a vision inside you, a goal, a dream, a calling, it was planted there for a reason. That vision was not sent to a committee for approval. It wasn't emailed to your friends, your family, or your critics for their input. It was given to you. That means not everyone will see it, understand it, or support it. And that's okay. Your vision is yours to hold, protect, and pursue, not to beg others to believe in it. Too many people bury their dreams under other people's doubts. They shrink their ambitions to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. They abandon their vision the moment it's questioned by someone they thought would cheer them on. But your vision isn't meant to fit into their lens. It's meant to stretch you, challenge you, and lead you. Other people don't need to get it. They don't need to clap. They don't need to sign off. All that matters is that you know why you're doing it. There will be times when you look around and realize you're walking alone. Not because your vision is wrong, but because it's rare. Not everyone has the capacity to understand something that hasn't happened yet. Most people are trained to believe in what they can see, not in what can be. But visionaries aren't built like that. They don't wait for proof. They move with faith. They build what doesn't exist yet. They speak life into empty spaces. The moment you start asking others to validate your vision, you give them the power to control your future. You start adjusting your path to win their approval. You start filtering your ideas to avoid judgment. You lose momentum, not because you're not capable, but because you're no longer walking in your truth. Vision dies in the hands of too many opinions. It thrives in the hands of commitment, discipline, and belief. Sometimes the people closest to you will doubt you the most, not because they don't love you, but because your growth makes them uncomfortable. Your dream reminds them of their fears. Your ambition reflects their hesitation. Don't take it personally. Their doubt is not your responsibility. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to keep building until the results speak louder than their words ever could. Vision requires courage. It requires you to see what isn't visible, to speak what hasn't happened, to move when others are standing still. It requires tunnel focus, quiet confidence, and an unshakable belief that what you're doing matters. Even when it feels like no one else sees the value, you can't wait for the world to agree with you. You've got to agree with yourself first. Some of the greatest innovations, movements, and breakthroughs came from people who were laughed at, doubted, or ignored. They were told they were crazy, unrealistic, wasting their time. But they didn't stop because the vision was louder than the noise. They understood that validation was a distraction. It was nice, but not necessary. When you walk in alignment with your vision, you won't always feel understood, but you will feel purposeful. You will feel alive. You will feel that quiet fire inside you that keeps burning even when everything else seems uncertain. And that's how you know it's real. That's how you know you're on the right path. Not because they said yes, but because you did.